Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanam Sute Devi Pranamami Hare vaṁśakaraḥ Kripa Sindhu Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaः. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamiti Namini Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschantyade Sansarini.
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So today is also the disappearance day of Srila Abhirama Thakur. He is also known as Abhiram Gopal Ram Das Thakur. Very, very extraordinary personality. Today when the morning Pranab Prabhu was asking me about him, I was scheduled to go to Faridabad in the morning, but due to health I could not go. But briefly I want to speak about Srila Abhirama Thakur. Srila Abhirama Thakur is one of the 12 Gopals of Vraj. Krishna has very close, confidential Gopals of his, which are known as Dvadash Gopal. And amongst the 12 Gopals, one of the leading personality is Shri Sakha. And when we sing the Vrindavan Mahimamrit, then we see the name of Shri Adi Jayo, Jayo Gopagan. So Shri is the Sakha of Krishna, Krishna and Balaram both. So once Krishna and Balaram, they were playing hide and seek. And Shri was to hide. And Krishna was playing with his Sakhas. And Krishna decided to enter into Nadiya Leela. He wanted to perform Sankirtan. So Krishna and Balaram and all the other Sakhas, they entered into Nadiya Leela. I mean, they entered into the future. And Krishna was performing Sankirtan. Balaram was there to serve him and other Sakhas also. But Krishna was not experiencing the ecstasy. We see in Mahaprabhu's Leela, when someone who is not supposed to be there in Śrī Vāsangan, if he happens to be there, then Mahaprabhu cannot experience ecstasy. So he always inquires from Śrīvāsa Thakur that there is someone who is not supposed to be here. But here in this Leela, it was Krishna not experiencing ecstasy because Shri was missing. Why? Because Shri was hiding in the caves. We see this in Krishna Leela. There is one more incident. Anyone remembers? When we do Govardhan Parikrama, when we go ahead of Govind Kund, and before the Punchari Kalota, there is that Lauta Baba. Lauta Baba, remember? You don't remember? So many times you have done Govardhan Parikrama?
Yes, sir.
So that personality also is still waiting for Krishna today. So Shri was hiding in the cave. He was anticipating that Krishna and Balaram and other Sakhas will come and try to find him. But these all personalities entered into Nadiya Leela, performing Sankirtan, and Krishna not receiving that bliss. He told Balaram that someone is missing. That is someone close missing. And they found out that Shri is missing because Shri was in Govardhan hiding in the cave. So Krishna tells Balaram to go and bring Shri And when Shri is approached by Balaram, Shri refuses to accept. Balaram says, how can I believe that you are Balaram? Because ages have changed, the yuga has changed from Treta to Kali, the size of Balaram was very, very high in Treta. So he said, how can you be Balaram? I know Balaram. Balaram's size is much more than you. So in any case, so there was a little bit of argument. And finally, Sridham said that what you can, take me to Nadia, you cannot even catch me. If you can catch me, then I can accept that you are Balaram. And what he does, he starts to run. And he runs so fast that they circumambulate the Govardhan hill 4 times. And finally, Balaram catches Sridhama. And when Balaram catches Sridhama, Sridham accepts. He says that you must be Balaram because no one else can run so fast and circumambulate the Govardhan hill 4 times. And he says, now I am very, very tired. So I cannot walk to Nadia. If you wish to take me, you have to make me sit on your shoulders. So Sridham climbs on the shoulder of Balaram. And Balaram brings him to Nadia. This is how Shri Abhirama Thakur enters into Nadia Leela. Very, very exceptional personality. And he is the constant companion of Shri Nityananda Prabhu. When Nityananda Prabhu used to come to Puri after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, one day Lord Chaitanya summoned Nityananda Prabhu and told him that you should not be coming to Puri. Why? Because he wanted that Nityananda Prabhu should remain in Gauradesh and preach. Amar dushkar karm tamar hoite hoya. So he gave 2 companions. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave 2 companions to Nityananda Prabhu to do this very, very arduous task. And the main companion was Abhirama Thakur. And it was when they were returning, it was Abhirama Thakur who convinced Suryadas Sarkel, the elder brother of Gauridas Pandit in Ambika Kalna, to have both her daughters married to Nityananda Prabhu. So that service was also performed by Abhirama Thakur. And when the birth of children were happening in Nityananda Prabhu's house, from Vasudha and Janva, he used to come and offer obeisances to see the newborn child. And he was so powerful, he was spiritually so potent, that if the child was not the pure soul, he would immediately die. So there were 7, not 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 child who were actually killed by Abhirama Thakur. And when the 8th child was to take place, that was Birchandra Goswami, who is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. So that time Janva Devi completely forbade Nityananda Prabhu not to invite Abhiram. And Nityananda Prabhu told all the boatmen not to ply boat so that Abhiram could not cross and come from Ganga. But when Abhiram came to know that Nityananda Prabhu has been blessed with a newborn baby, a male child, obviously he is in the Sakhya Ras, he is in the fraternity relationship. So he said, for a Sakha, there is no requirement of any invitation. And when there is, intimate friendship, there is no need of any formal invitation. So what he did, he took his dhoti and he waved it over the Ganges. And he sat on the dhoti and crossed the river and came. And when he finally came, Vasudha and Janvar were completely terrified that again this person has come and he will kill our new child. And he will just bow down. He was so powerful, just by bowing down, even Shila would tear apart if it was not original Shila. So when he bowed down to Veerchand Goswami as a child, he smiled. Again he bowed down. So the child smiled even more. And in this way he proved that this is the worthy child for Nityananda Prabhu. And there are many, many pastimes. And he was so extraordinary that once he wanted to play the flute. So he was not finding a flute for his size. So he saw a log, you understand, a big log, which could not be even lifted by hundreds of men. And he easily picked up the log, made it into flute and started playing. Such extraordinary. And he was a very, very formidable preacher. He would preach along with Nityananda Prabhu. And the atheists and the shakts and the smartas, they would run away, flee when they would see Abhirama Thakur. Abhirama Thakur also had a very, very extraordinary weapon in his hand. It was called the Jai Mangal whip. And that whip was so extraordinary. Whoever he would whip with that whip, he would bestow to him Gauranga Prem. And he whipped, you know who? He whipped Shiva's Acharya. And Shiva's Acharya was infested with Gauranga Prem. So, such an extraordinary personality is Abhirama Thakur. You are noting, Pranav? Seeing your interest.
Yes,
Yeah, I was induced to speak about Srila Abhirama Thakur. And I was feeling guilty also that morning I missed the opportunity. So such is Abhirama Thakur. So Srila Abhirama Thakur Tirubhavati Mahamotsav ki jai. We will continue the Ramayana, the 8th chapter. So we have seen that the extraordinary position of King Daśaratha, the citizens of Ayodhya, his ministers, and now begins the storyline that the Nayak, the hero, how he appears. So Daśaratha decides to perform the AŞVAMEDHA sacrifice. Daśaratha still had a worry. He did not have any sons to continue his dynasty. He decided to conduct an AŞVAMEDHA sacrifice. Through Sumantra, he called Vasishtha and other sages and sought their approval of his decision. With their permission, he arranged for a Yajna-shala to be constructed on the northern bank of Saryu. We'll try to see. Devashish, did you see this place there, Yajna-shala?
yes, Prabhu.
We will all go and see that Yajna-shala. This was constructed on the northern bank of Saryu and ordered that a horse be released to wander around the earth. He engaged his ministers in acquiring the ingredients for the sacrifice, informed his wives, and became initiated into the sacrifice. Tasya evam-prabhāvasya dharma-jñasya mahā-ātmanaḥ sutārthaṁ tapyamānasya nāsīd vaṁśa-karaḥ sutā. So what was the sacrifice for? Suta-artham. Suta means the sun. King Daśaratha had such power, he knew dharma and was a great soul. But he was in anxiety to have a son, as he did not have a son to continue the dynasty. So in order to have sons, he conducted this sacrifice. The sage Vālmīki has described Daśaratha's qualification as a dharmika king to point out that he was fit to be a father for the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his incarnation. In this chapter, the author introduces the circumstances that led Daśaratha to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, which was appropriate for the Lord's descent. This verse indicates that his anxiety to be described in verses to come is appropriate. He was engaged in austerity to have a son. We have seen that whoever has been blessed with the appearance of Supreme Personality of Godhead, they have performed extraordinary austerities. Either it is Vasudeva and Devaki, or maybe it is Nanda and Yashoda, or even in the previous ages. So there is nothing different in the appearance of Lord Ramachandra also. So he was engaged in austerity to have a son. Though he had all the ingredients to have a son, he did not have a son, and so he was in anxiety. Chintaya tasya buddhirashin mahātmanaḥ sutārthaṁ vajimedhena kimartham na vajami aham. While contemplating the means to attain a son, the great soul got this idea to attain a son. Why can I not perform the AŞVAMEDHA sacrifice? It is the comment on Srila Ramanujacharya. He says that in the Agni Somiya and other such sacrifices, no injury is done to the animal sacrificed. For the Shruti declares that the sacrificed animal abandons their inferior body like that of goat and attains an auspicious body in Swarga and so on. Indeed, the Shruti means the Vedas, the scriptures. Shruti says, O sacrificial animal, by this act of sacrificing you, you never die at all. You are not killed. You will go through blissful paths to the Devas, where only the pious and not the sinful reach. And maybe the sun god established you there. So the sacrificial purpose was that to attain the spiritual goal for those who were performing. Mainly it was by the king. And the animal which was being sacrificed, he would elevate to at least to come to the human platform. Or here it is being mentioned, they would even go to the heavenly Lord abode. They were not killed, but they were given promotion in progression. Otherwise, they would have taken many, many lifetimes to progress from the animal life to come to the human platform. But if they were in the sacrifice, they would be promoted. The killing of the sacrificial animal in Agni Somiya and other sacrifices is only for its protection. It's a long, very long purport. Going further, Sanishitam matim kritva yashtavyam iti buddhiman mantribhi sah dharma-atma sarvereva kritatmabhi tato bhavedidam raja sumantram mantri sattamam singhramanay me sarvam gurumstan supurohitan. Having concluded with the help of all his ministers of good intellect that he should perform that sacrifice, that king of dharmic nature told Sumantra, the best among his ministers. How many ministers were there? Who remembers? How many ministers were there? Pradeep, how many ministers were mentioned? We did full chapter on the ministers of King Daśaratha. Quickly speak, Pradeep. Don't waste time.
8 minutes.
Huh?
8.
8 were the chief. Okay, not complete answer. Yes, Purushottam?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. 8
Hare.
were the chief ministers and 2 counselors, and there were some stages.
Yeah. Very good. So the more details, but okay. I'll take that. Okay. So these were ministers of all good intellect. So first he counseled. He did not take the abrupt decision on his own. This is how a dharmika king is. Even the king of the highest order, the monarch, would not take his own decision. He would consult with both, with his ministers, and also quickly bring all the gurus and priests. He would also consult with both the gurus and the priests, purohitam. Gurum stan supurohitam. Tata sumantra stvaritam gatva tvarit vikrama samanaya satan sarvan samastan veda paragan suyojanam vāmadevam ca jabalim atha kashyapam purohitam vasishtam che ye chane dvij sattama. Then Sumantra is the chief, the leading minister, most confident minister. Then Sumantra immediately and quickly went to them and called all of those profound scholars of the Vedas. Suyagya, Vamadeva, Jabali, Kashyapa, the priest is Vashishta, as well as the other best of the twice born, together to the king's palace. Dasaratha gurus are enlisted here. There is not only one Vashishta, but there are even more. So these names are here. He considered them his gurus, since they were to become the officiating priest of the sacrifice he desired to perform. Who considered? Dasaratha, Maharaj Dasaratha. Tam pujyatva dharma-atma raja Dasaratha idam dharma-atma sahitam vakyam slakshnam atha pravid. After his gurus reached his palace, King Daśaratha of dharmika nature worshipped them and then spoke the following sweet words in accordance with dharma and artha. So it was not only for artha. Artha means his desire to have the son, but it was in line with dharma. Mamalala tapyamānasya sutārthaṁ nāsīd sukham tadartham haye medhana yakshāmiti matirmama. I have been lamenting without any happiness for want of a son. Therefore, I have concluded that I should engage in the AŞVAMEDHA sacrifice to get a son. Kadaham yastam ikchami shastra drishtena karmana katham prapasyami aham kamam buddhiratra vicharyatam. Because of my desire for a son, I desire to be initiated into the scripture procedures. Please deliberate on how I can successfully conduct this sacrifice. Since there were several obstacles to properly performing such a sacrifice, he asked them, he inquired, he submitted to all the gurus, the sages, the priests. Tatha sadhu iti tadvakyam brahmana pratyapūjiyan vasishtha pramukha sarve parthivasya mukhaschatum uchuscha param prita sarve Daśaratham vacha. All of the brahmanas headed by Vasishtha congratulated the words from the king's mouth by saying good, and with great happiness they told Daśaratha as follows. Sambraha sambriyantam te turuangaste vimucyatam Saravyas chottare tire yagna bhumir vidhiyatam. Arrange for all the paraphernalia for the sacrifice. Release the horse for AŞVAMEDHA sacrifice. Set aside a sacrificial arena on the northern bank of the Saryu. Sarvatha praprasyasya putran abhipretam sya parthiva yasya te dharmiki buddhir evam-prabhāvasya agata. O king, since you have this dharmic idea to obtain a son, you will certainly have sons as you desire. Sons in the plural because having one son is as good as having no sons. Besides, one should endeavor to have many sons. So he had a desire to have a son, but the sages, the priest, blessed him to have many sons. Tatha prito abhaved raja shutrva etad dvija bhashitam amatyamscha abhravid raja harsha parya aku lekshana. Hearing the words of the twice born, the king became pleased. With eyes brimming with joy, the king told his ministers as follows. Sambraha samriyantam me gurunam vachanad iha samartha adhishishtasche sopupadhyaya vimuchyatam. On the authority of my guru's instructions, arrange for the ingredients of the sacrifice now. Release the horse with the sacrificial priest. It is protected by capable people. So in the commentary it said, the horse which was set to move was protected by 400 soldiers or guardians. Sarvyaschotare tire yagna bhumir vidhiyatam shantasya shantaya cha abhirvardhantam yatha kalpam yatha vidhi. Prepare a sacrificial arena on the northern bank of Saryu. Increase the performance of rituals that destroys the obstacle to such inauspicious activities in the prescribed order and as per the scripture's regulations. From this, it is understood that Ayodhya was on the southern bank of the Saryu. Yatha Kalpam indicates that one should carry out the sacrificial rituals in the prescribed orders. For the Kalpa Sutras describe the order of performing various activities in the sacrifice. Shakya praptum ayam yagna sarvenepi mahishita na parado bhavet kashto yadi yasmin kratu sattame. If there would be no offense or calamity in the performance of this best of sacrifice, every king would successfully execute this sacrifice. So out of fear of calamity due to inattention, petty kings do not execute this sacrifice. So there was this apprehension, this fear that there should not be any offense or calamity in the performance of this best of sacrifice. Chidram hi mragayante atra vidvamso brahma rakshasa nihatasya cha yagnasya sadhya karta vinashyati. What was the obstacle? Here it is mentioned. Brahma Rakshasas, they would impede, they would try to obstruct. Brahma Rakshasas experience in the manner of performing the AŞVAMEDHA sacrifice search for offenses in carrying out the sacrifice. The performer of the destroyed sacrifice perishes immediately. Brahma Rakshasas are Brahmanas who have not performed their scriptural atonement, who have accepted in charity that which should not be accepted in charity. Very difficult to be a Brahmana. If he accepts charity and he does not perform the austerity, then what one becomes is a Brahma Rakshas, who have not performed their scriptural atonement, who have accepted in charity that should not have been accepted in charity, who have performed sacrifice that are not meant to be performed, and other sins, and hence have become Rakshasas. When they spot offenses in the performance of the sacrifice, they enter the sacrifice and destroy it. The second half of this verse explains what can happen. This was the fear. Tadyatha vidhi purvam me krituresha samapyate tatha vidhinam kriyatam samarthartha karaneshu iha. So Dasaratha Maharaj is telling his ministers, you are competent in sacrificial performance to his sages. Please endeavor to complete this sacrifice of mine without any offense. He then announced the desired result. He appreciated them by saying that they were competent in sacrificial performances without obstruction or offense. Tatha iti cha abruvan sarve mantrina parthiva sarve mantrina tata pujayan parthiva indriyasyastad vakyam yatha agnopatam nishamyate. Hearing those words of the king and honoring him, all of those ministers told him, we will do as you have ordered us. They honored him by saying that the decision of Maharaj was good. Tatha dvijaste dharmagna vardhayanto nripottamam anujatas tatha sarve punarjagmur yathagatam. Then those priests who knew Vedic dharmic strengthened the emperor with their blessings. Then with his permission, all of them returned to their respective residence. They told him that they would conduct such a sacrifice on the Purnima of the month of Chaitra. Another feature of Chaitra Purnima. Chaitra Purnima was the day of Krishna performing Vasanta Ras. Balaramji also performing Vasanta Ras. So many important events happen on Chaitra Purnima. So this event also, the beginning of the AŞVAMEDHA Yajna of Daśaratha began from Chaitra Purnima. It should be noted that all the fire sacrifices mentioned in the Vedic literatures gradually help a person become self-realized and then finally achieve realization of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, the Brahmanas were happy with King Daśaratha's desire to perform the AŞVAMEDHA sacrifice. Srila Prabhupada states that the goal of the sacrifice in his purport of Bhagavad Gita 2.46. The rituals and sacrifice mentioned in the Karma-kanda division of the Vedic literature are meant to encourage gradual development of self-realization. And the purpose of self-realization is clearly in the 15th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. The purpose of studying the Vedas is to know Lord Krishna, the primeval cause of everything. Visarjayatitva tan vipran sachivan idam abrabhet ritvigibir upadishto yam yathavat kartur apayatam. Having sent off those brahmanas, he told his secretaries, properly provide the ingredients of the sacrifice as instructed by the priest. Iti yuktvā nipa sharthula sachivana samupasthithan visrajyatva swam veshma pravishesha mahadviti. Having said this, the great splendorous tiger among kings dismissed his assembly, secretaries, and entered his home. Mahadviti, this is the name mentioned for Maharaj Daśaratha. Greatly splendorous indicates his abundant happiness. Tatha sagatva tapune tatha sagatva tapatne narendro hriday priya uvacha diksham vishita yakshayaham suta-artham. So he came to his inner chambers. Maharaj Daśaratha, having dismissed the assembly, he came to his palace, and in the inner chambers, having reached his home, the king told his wives, dear to his heart, get ready to be initiated into sacrifice that I am going to perform to obtain a son. The wives Patni were Kaushalya and others. Patni also indicates that they could participate in the sacrifice. Tasam tena atikantena vachanena suvarchasam mukhya padmani ashobhanta padmani va himayantaye. Upon hearing those very sweet words, the beautiful lotus faces of those lustrous women shone like lotuses at the end of winter. So sacrifice is far ahead. It was winter, and when the sacrifice was to begin, it was to begin in the Chaitra Purnima. Thus ends the chapter. The 9th chapter is conversation between Sumantra and Daśaratha. So we will discuss that tomorrow. Okay, I'll stop here. Any contribution from your side? You want to say or ask something? Please go ahead. Yes, Sonika?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you mentioned that Abhirama Thakur, Sri Abhirama Thakur whipped Srivas Thakur.
Yes, he could whip anyone. And whoever was whipped by his whip, Jai Mangal, he would immediately receive Gauranga Prem. That is why his whip was known as Jai Mangal. There could not be anything more auspicious than to be whipped. What an easy way to receive love of Godhead. No austerity is required. No such services required. Just to become the recipient of Jai Mangal. If you want to be whipped,
Yes, Prabhuji.
then pray to Abhirama Thakur. Yes, Devadatta.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु
Hare Krishna.
जी, आपने स्मार्थस के बारे में बोला कि मतलब ऐसे अलग अलग सेक्ट से होते हैं। स्मार्थ क्या होते हैं प्रभु जी?
Smartha Karmakandis. Brahmanas. जो जानते हैं ना कर्मकांड, those were ritualistic. Only ritual, not spiritual. Hare Krishna. Anyone else? So the Karmakanda section in the Vedas is very, very prominent. So many times I have mentioned it is 96%. And what it is? Karmakand means it is fruitive activity. Why you perform the sacrifice? To get some fruit, to get some desired result. And most of the Karmakanda can lead you to the heavenly planets. Not beyond. Most of the ritualistic Indians, they perform only Karmakand. They are not into Upasana Kand. Hare Krishna. Śrī Vālmīki Rāmāyaṇa ki jai. Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai